Hi everybody, and thank you for joining us today for this Lunch and Learn session as part of the Read Women Technology community. Today I am joined by my good friend Sikemi Tayo, who is joining us all the way from Nigeria. Sikemi, I'm not going to steal your thunder. I'll let you introduce yourself properly. Tell us all about the work that you do and your expertise in this area. So yeah, without further ado, over to you.
All right. Thank you, Kevin. Hello, everybody. Happy to be here. We'll keep this very short because we have just 1 hour. By a quick intro about myself, 9 to 5, I like to call myself a CTOO, a Chief Technology and Operations Officer. I run my own consulting firm, and I pretty much help tech organizations to deal with the operational chaos and kind of bring the noise down into what I call a rumble. But that's my 9 to 5. But 247, I am a fitness coach, and the interest sparked even as far back as when I was growing up, right? I kind of grew up in a household where, watching your weight, watching what you eat and stuff like that was kind of like a given. But I think the turning point for me was when in 2010, when I was coming for my master's in the UK, I attended the University of Sheffield, MIS. And one of my colleagues just said, "Oh, by the time you get back to the country, you're going to be twice your size." And I took that personal. I was like, "What? How dare you? What gives you the right and stuff like that?" So I took that unpleasant comment and I just said, "Okay, you know what? I'm not going to come back twice my size. I'm going to come back my size." But then it turned out that by the time I got back to the country, I was 12 kg lighter. And so I was like, okay, I like this. How can we make this a habit, right? And so that started my journey around the intentionality of developing a healthy lifestyle, right? Of course, I started with the typical, workout and stuff, but over the years, I have grown to understand that there is more to a healthy lifestyle than just workouts, which I think some of you would agree with me. So today is a very short and interactive session to just share what I call my 3 component pillars, golden truth, whatever you're going to call it. But the 3 things that has kept me consistent for 14 years now. Right? I think there is something there. Hopefully you will tell me if there is something there at the end of this call, but I think there is something there. Because to be consistent for 14 years is not an easy task, but it's also not impossible. And my goal is that at the end of this call, somebody would leave this call with "Oh yeah, that's it. This is what I've been missing. This is the missing link between my goals and my reality." So like I said, it will be interactive. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen. Okay, so we're here. Okay, so short poll. What is the biggest challenge you have in maintaining a healthy lifestyle? Fantastic. Time management. I'm sure some of you already saw the options, so you could also use that. Lack of motivation and prioritization, leading me to pretend that it's like a lack of time. All right, I like the honesty. Who else? I'd like to have 2 more, and then we'll talk about what are some of the things that we can start to do differently. 2 more, please. 2 more, please. All right. Okay. All right, we will be patient. Okay. People typing. All right, different priorities and not much time during the day. Thank you very much. And 1 more, and then we'll just go ahead. Initially, for me, was mindset. Powerful. Thank you, sis. Again, we're going to talk about the role of mindsets, right, in achieving a consistent fitness lifestyle, right? Okay, cool. So why should you care? Again, we've talked a lot about some of the blockers that we may have experienced, but more importantly, why should we care about our health in 2024? Again, everybody keeps talking about it. Okay, you need to prioritize your health. You need to do this, you need to do that. But the reality is, do you really have to do it? I thought it was also important to share some reasons with us to take our health seriously. Now, the biggest stressor for most people in 2024 is, maybe I may be wrong, but it would most likely be financial, right? Somewhere, everywhere, the numbers are not adding up, right? And so there is a lot of concern around how we're going to make ends meet, how we're going to do, big projects and stuff like that, right? But that is some things that are not out that are outside of our control, in my view. Now, some things that are in our control that, our physical health rather can help with is, if you find yourself always tired, right? That is a problem. That is a flag. If you find yourself having constant headaches, right? That is a flag as well. If you find yourself being irritable, so you have a quick, what do we call it, quick trigger or something like that. That is a problem, because it means that your body is in a state of stress, right? And then if you also find out that you're no longer as I quoted it. I feel like I need to turn on my camera so that you can see that I'm on your side. If you feel like you appear maybe less smart than you used to be, maybe prior to now, if somebody brings a piece of work to you, you're like, let's do this, let's do this, let's do that. And then you find yourself just pausing and struggling a bit, is also a sign. So sometimes our health is not about the size of our clothing size. Sometimes it's even not the number on the scale. Sometimes it is okay. Sometimes it is these signs and symptoms that I've just shared with you, and that is why it's important that we take care of our health, and it's not just for the number on the scale, right? Hopefully you now have a good reason to be on this call, right? I've talked a bit about my journey, but I also want to, talk about how I have been able to adapt this mindset with my 9 to 5 work. I know I introduced myself as a consultant, but I didn't become a consultant until 2 years ago. So for the better part of my career, I was in paid. I am in paid employment. I don't even know why I say I was in paid employment, but you get what I mean. I had to show up to work at a certain time. I didn't have control over my time, right? That's what I meant. And in these years, I have I have occupied different roles in tech. I have been a site reliability engineer for different things: applications, databases, network, observability, monitoring, OCC, whatever you want to call it. I have occupied those roles. And I have also been in data engineering, process automation. At some point, I was managing the 3 levels of support: level 1, level 2 to level 3. And even with all of those, and what is common about all those roles I just mentioned to you is that they are mostly firefighting roles, right? And somehow I've been able to be consistent with my fitness, even though I have all this crazy stuff. And that, for me, is what this call is about, is saying, even if you have a crazy schedule, even if you have a firefighting role, even if you have a busy life, you can still maintain a fit lifestyle, right? And for me, it boils down to 3 things. And that's what I'm going to be sharing with you today. But the way I want us to go about it today is, as I take you through these 3 things, I want us to make it practical, right? So these 3 things are what I have on the screen, and they are just having the right kind of goals, having the right kind of habits, and having the right kind of mindset. That's it. I'm sorry if you were expecting a food plan or a workout plan, but you don't need that actually. It's these 3 components in my own experience are the things that actually kept me consistent. And I'm happy to share that with you today. But I want us to have the way I want us to do it is that as I go through each of these components, I want us to practicalize it to our own realities. So when I talk about goals, I would like to give us time to do the exercise of setting our goals. As I go through habit, I would like us to give us a bit of time to also choose the right habits for the goals that we've set. And as I go to mindset, I would like us to think about some of the mindsets we have around fitness and see whether there are changes that we need to make today. And hopefully at the end of the call, you have your answers to all three components and you can just go implement and be amazing, right? So that's kind of like the approach I would like us to take. So I know some of us are typing, some of us are busy, but just please try as much as possible to run through the exercises. So like I said, the three essential components that has helped me stay active for 14 years and counting are these three things. Now let's talk about goals. When we talk about goals, what do we mean? I know for all of us that are in the corporate space, we've heard this thing, what's your goal, what's your plan, what's your strategy? So think of a goal as a roadmap. So for those of us that are familiar with the word roadmap, a roadmap is not quite specific. It's more of a print. It doesn't go into the details of how you're going to do it. It just talks about very high level, what do you want to achieve, right? And that's the way you should think about your fitness goal. Your fitness goal is something that is maybe long term, 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, but something that just points you to the right direction. What do I want to do with my health? What do I want to achieve? And it sets a very clear direction and sense of purpose. But most often when we set goals, our goals are a bit vague. How do I mean? How many of us have had a goal to say, I want to be fit? I know I have, right? I want to lose some weight. I know I have. I want to tone some part of my body. I know I have. But the thing about those kind of goals is that they are not measurable, right? Because yes, I want to tone my body. Yes, I want to prioritize my mental health. What does that mean in terms of numbers, in terms of measure? How would you know that you've achieved the goal? And that's why I always start with goals, because if your goals are not clear, then sometimes it could feel like you're doing a lot of things, but you're not seeing results. And that can be frustrating, right? So when you think about your fitness goals, think about something more specific and realistic. And I'm giving you some examples on the screen. I want to lose 10 kg in 3 months. I want to climb 4 flights of stairs without stopping. I want to touch my touch my toes, without bending my knees, right? And this last one is could be a bit humorous because most of us don't think about it that way. We're like, okay, I want to be flexible, but what does flexibility mean to you? Sometimes it could be that I want to be able to reach to a cabinet in my house without having to lean on something just because my core is not strong enough. I hope you guys understand what I'm talking about. If this makes sense to you, please give me a thumbs up. When I'm on the call, so I need more thumbs up. All right, 1 thumb, 2 thumbs, 3 thumbs, 1 more. Help me out here. If it's not making sense, if there is a thumbs down, please go ahead and use it. So I want us to do a small exercise, right? So now that you understand what good goals should look like, thank you, Mary. I want everybody to, write down. If you feel comfortable sharing, please go ahead and put it in the chat box. But I want everybody to write down their fitness goal for the next 1 month. Let's even keep it simple. What would be a good goal for you for the next 1 month? Okay, I can turn on my camera now because I'm not talking. All right, I see somebody typing. So for some of us that have goals around stress, and you say, I want to manage my stress better. The question is, what is that metric that will let you know if your stress is better? And that's what you should kind of use in setting your goals. It could be sleep. Sleep is a very good metric for managing stress, right? So maybe you want to increase what's it called? The number of the number of hours that you're sleeping. Yes. So Nikki said, I want to attend at least one fitness class a week. Yes. It's very specific, right? Allocate 15 minutes to do some activity that is very specific so that we can know. But then for Milena, it will also be nice to know what's the frequency. So if you want to do 15 minutes, is it 15 minutes every day, or is it 15 minutes every week, or is it 15 minutes every, hopefully not every month, but please let us. So you also have to be specific. And what I'm trying to do, guys, is also to help us to refine our goals as we go through this call, so that at the end of the call, it's very clear what you need to do, right? So somebody said, so Becky said, go to the gym 3 times a week. Awesome, awesome. Mary says, come up with a basic routine to start with. But what would be the goal of the routine? What are you trying to achieve with that routine? Are you trying to lose body weight? Body weight, or are you trying to lose a certain part of your body, or are you trying to what are the options? Are you trying to remove stress? I don't know why. I don't know what the options are. Thank you. Achieve deep squats with heels down. That is very specific. So yeah, so I think you guys already get the idea around how specific your goals should be. And the reason why this is important is so that you would know when you've achieved it. Because if it is not specific, what would happen is that you would do a lot of activities, you would feel like, this should be working. But then how do you know it's not working if you don't have the right metrics to assess it with? So let's move on to the next one. Thank you, guys. I love the energy. Thank you. Be fit, lose weight, and be more alert. So for Mary, it would look something like you want to achieve a certain number within a particular period. That's one thing. That's one way to look at it. Right? But I like the energy. I like that we're getting it. So let's move on to the next component. So the next component in creating sustainable fitness goals is our habits. Now think of this habit as building blocks that helps you to be consistent. Sometimes goals and habits look alike. They are not the same thing. So for somebody that wants to go to the gym 3 times a week, the habit would be, what do I have to do every day to achieve this? You'll be surprised that in answering that question, you would then start to your habits. It could look something like having a stop time for work on your gym days, right? It could look something like putting your gym, if you're for me, I have my gym in my house, but for most people, they drive out, or at least they leave their house to go to the gym. So if that is the case for you, then habits would look something like having a time set for gym. It will look something like having your gym wear or your gym equipment ready to go. It will look something like, depending on what your goals are in the gym, it would look something like looking at your sleep. And why do I say that? The moment you start going to the gym more frequently or actively, you're putting your body under good, what we call a good kind of stress. So it then means that all of a sudden you can't be sleeping anyhow. You have to prioritize sleep because you have to recover from those sessions at the gym. It would look something like the kind of food that you now have to pay attention to, right? So you want to go to the gym. It means that maybe, depending on what your goal is, if it's cardio, if it's weight training, it means you have to start looking at protein, right? So that it could help you with your overall goal or muscle recovery. So habits are those things you're going to be doing every day towards that goal that you set. And it could look something around your food, it could look something around your sleep, it could look something around your workout, but more importantly, it could also look something around data. Now, all of us are, we're professionals, we understand the power of data in the workplace. It is no different. It is no different for our fitness goals. Without data, how do we know what to improve? Right? Now, my recommendation when it comes to tracking data for your habit is to automate it as much as possible. What does that mean? It means if you're tracking something around your body, go get if you can, get a, what's it called, a wearable or a fitness device that tracks stuff while you're going about your life. So Fitbit, Apple Watch, that's weird. I don't know any. Okay, I know them. I can't remember them. There are a couple of other brands as well that you could also start to explore. If it is weight, you can have a smart scale that once you climb on it and you measure your weight, it automatically syncs the value to your to some cloud account. It could be food. It could mean getting a smart scale for food that tells you that this food you're about to eat has XYZ, XYZ. Again, those things are not always precise, but the goal is to be as close as possible. So tracking your fitness data is actually a habit that everybody must have, because if you're not tracking, how do you know if you are progressing? Sometimes the things that we use to assess progression, they are not always the most reliable, like your weight. When you start a new workout, it's very likely that you will go up on the scale, especially if you are doing weight training, because you have what we call blood volume that makes you, again, I'm trying not to get technical, but yeah, you can gain weight when you actually start lifting. So sometimes people see that they freak out, but if you're tracking other things, you can also see whether you have improvements or not. Then the other thing around your habits is that you must identify triggers for these habits. Now, the way to look at triggers is, what is that thing that is going to tell you in the middle of your busy day to stop and do this thing? Now, for most people, the triggers could be the calendar reminders, or the calendar, either a calendar item or a phone reminder. But some people are already numb to those things and it doesn't work for them anymore. So there are other triggers to consider, like post-it notes. You put it in a place. For example, if you one of my clients back then, we tried something interesting and we put something in front of the fridge. So before they open the fridge, they see the notes, and then if they haven't done what is on the note, they can't open the fridge. Well, of course they can open the fridge, but you get what I mean. So you could use post-it notes. If you have a mirror in your bathroom, that could help. So we've talked about reminders, we've talked about calendar items, which is a schedule, calendar items. We've talked about post-it notes. You could also employ an accountability partner. Now, an accountability partner does not necessarily have to be somebody that you are fond of. Hear me out. There's some people that we want to say, we want to be able. There's some people that we just don't want them. We don't want to give them ammunition to say something that we don't like. If you want, you could also use them as some sort of accountability partner. For example, let me use my personal experience. My mom is somebody that, okay, once you are putting on weight, she's very quick to call you out and say you need to watch your weight and stuff like that. Again, she means well, but sometimes you don't really want to hear those things because you're going through life, right? So if I use my mother as an accountability partner and I'm saying she should check in with me, say every week or every, I don't know your frequency, every week on whether I have done something, because I don't want to give her ammunition to say what I don't want to hear, I'm almost compelled to go make sure that I do it before I get to her. So accountability partners are also something, they're also a prompt for your habits. And then the last one is what we call habit stacking. So if you have something that you already do every day, is already unconscious or subconsciously, then you could always, maybe subconsciously is not good, but something that you already do every day, then you can go ahead and add your habits to it. So I said a lot about habits, but I know sometimes it's hard to balance them between the goal and the habits. But the way I want you to look at your habits is, what would you be doing every day towards your goal? Even if it is not your habit day, what would you be doing every day towards your goal? So I'm going to pause now and then allow you guys to update the habits for your goal. So 2 questions for everybody. Number 1 is, what are you going to be doing every day towards your goal? The second question is, what is going to remind you to do that thing, which is the trigger? You have the floor, please. I said a lot, but hopefully it made sense. So for all the goals that we wrote, I want everybody to give me one habit that they're going to be doing every day towards that goal, and then what is going to remind you to do that habit every day. I hope you guys are still here. Plan the time into my schedule or calendar to make sure I go 3 times. Awesome. 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 So, but please, Becky, please make sure that the calendar that you're putting it in is the calendar that has the most, what's the word I'm looking for? Because if you put it in your personal calendar and the work calendar is the one that you look at more, you may miss it out. So sometimes I put my workouts in my work calendar because that way I'm like, okay, you can't miss it. So yeah, awesome. Nikki is typing. I'd like to hear from one more person as well. What are you going to be doing every day towards your goal? And what is going to remind you to do that thing? Currently goes to the gym 3 times a week, so I'll start my gym time with the deep squat related exercises. Okay. Tracking number of classes attended, tell people about going to the class, invite them to join me. Okay. So for Yamisi, what you'll be doing every day is so the question is, what are you going to be doing every day towards that habit? So if, for example, you want to achieve deep squat related deep squats with your heels, are there things that you can do every day towards that? Are there a couple of maybe stretches or things that you do with your body weight before you go to the gym, that you can use to? Are there other? I think for me, when it comes to those kind of moves, there are other parts of your body that you have to strengthen to be able to achieve that goal of a deep squat. So are you going to start to do those things every day? What does that mean for your food? Do you need to improve on food? Do you need to improve on sleep? Do you need to improve on posture? That's kind of how I want you to look at it. So that way, even before you get to gym, are there other things that you can do? And if yes, what is going to remind you to go do them? For Nikki, you're going to track the number of classes attended. You're going to tell people about it. Are you going to be tracking it every day? How would that look like every day, Nikki? Please. And by every day, it could be every work day or something like that. So that people don't like, oh my God, every 7 days. No, not really. For Mary, your reminder will be notes and alarm on your phone. I will also get a friend or partner to do basic routine, like a dance routine. So Mary, awesome. What I hear from you is that a dance routine is going to be your daily activity towards your goal for weight loss. Awesome. Now, how are you going to remind yourself? You've listed a couple of options, but I would like you to pick one so that you can start to activate it immediately. Which one do you think will be the most successful from your experience? Would it be notes? Would it be alarm? Or would it be accountability? So that you can also refine that, which is what we're doing on the call. Hopefully, you guys understand and appreciate and get what I'm trying to help you achieve. Awesome. Get a friend. Do we have the name of the friend in mind already? Okay. So for Milena, every day get at least 15 minutes of stretching, and I'll need set up an alarm to do it. Awesome. Now, the thing about alarms is that please make sure that the alarms are set at a time when you can fulfill the reminder. How do I mean? If you set an alarm at a time when maybe you're having your first meeting at work, or you know you're going to be in transit, or you know that, again, from experience, any alarm that happens around this time is likely not to be taken, is likely to be snoozed, right? My recommendation will be to avoid that time because, again, you get the alarm, but you don't have the ability to execute. So the timing also matters for alarm. All right, awesome. For Nikki, you're going to be tracking after a class, not daily at first. Okay, if you're not doing it every day, then what are you going to, what's going to be the frequency? And what's going to remind you to track it? Is there a way to, are you going to set a reminder, or are you going to tell somebody in the class to keep you accountable, or are you going to what's that thing? Because if you finish a class, you can be so happy about the class that you don't log it. So what is going to remind you? Miriam, thank you for updating. Daily stretches, ankle circles, child poses, and set an alarm on my phone. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yes, I do have a friend and she loves to dance. Okay, awesome. I like the way you guys are thinking about this. And please, it's never going to be perfect at the beginning. It's not supposed to, actually. But this is just progress. If you can nail down that level of detail, you find out that even when life happens, right, it's very easy for you to find alternatives because you've broken it into the smallest bits. And so if, for example, you can't go to dance with your friend physically, Mary, you can then have the dance virtually, right? And then you start to look for creative ways to still achieve your habits, even outside of your preferred timing or medium, right? For Nikki that is going to a class, if you're not able to, because you're tracking it, once you miss classes a couple of times, and you would realize that, okay, because you are not, there is now a visual to your tracking. You can see that you've missed class 3 times, and the next time you want to miss class, you're probably asking yourself, okay, why am I missing class, and what can I do? If you would realize that sometimes maybe you were going to an evening class, is no longer working for you, something has changed in the office, you start to explore morning classes, you start to explore afternoon or break time classes and stuff like that. All right, awesome. Oh, it is virtual. Fantastic. And again, thank you guys. Thank you for the openness. I like that everybody's thinking out of the box. The most important thing take away from this particular habit is to find what you're going to be doing every day. Once you can identify that, then find what is going to remind you, right, to do it. But more importantly, please make sure that you are tracking your habits, because it's that data that is going to let you know if you're doing well or if you need to make changes. All right, awesome, awesome, awesome. I love it. Okay, the last component is mindset. Aha, now, what is mindset, right? Mindsets are your patterns of thinking about something. That is my definition. If it's not pure, sorry, but that is my definition. Is that your mindset is a pattern of thinking around something. Right? And in fitness, we often have limiting mindsets that don't serve, and that's the word I want you guys to please pay attention to. We have mindsets that don't serve our fitness goals. It's not all mindsets that are bad, but when a particular mindset is not serving you, then it's a problem. And you could also benefit from asking yourself why and how. So mindsets like, I don't have time. One of the things I like to jokingly ask people is, what evidence do you have that you don't have time? And then we laugh about it. And it turns out that maybe we just said it because it's the reflex. By the time you get somebody to answer the question, what evidence do you have? What 3 evidence do you have that you don't have time? And then the what's it called? The answer changes. Another limiting mindset that you may be familiar with is, I never see progress. Again, what are you measuring? And that's why it's important that your goals and your habits are as tight as possible. And then another one is, it's too expensive to eat healthy. I had this mindset, by the way, a couple of years ago. And I was like, God, everything that is supposed to be healthy is so expensive. Fresh vegetables is expensive. Lean meat, lean fish, lean everything is expensive. It's not. It's hard to eat healthy. The question is based on what? Who says that the only way to get healthy or to have healthy eating is to eat those food types I just mentioned, or those exact food I just mentioned? So this is why mindset is important, because they subconsciously, and it's a pattern. Remember that I said that your mindset is a pattern that you may not be aware of. But if you find yourself, having a mindset that is not serving you, then it's worth troubleshooting. And I can't tell you all the ways in which you can troubleshoot your mindset on this call, but one of the things I would recommend is follow the right people. And this point too is so important because I've seen people follow. Now, there are people I follow on Instagram that are also into fitness. There's some people I don't follow because, and there's nothing wrong with not following them. It could just be that their own reality does not inspire me. Now, if you follow somebody that all they do is fitness, fitness is actually their career. They use it to compete. They use it to collect prizes. They use it to, I don't know. Fitness is how they make money. The amount of time that they're going to invest in this lifestyle is not the same amount of time as you would. The same way if you were a parent, right? That is trying to, do things. The scenario is different for somebody that is not a parent. Also around age and commitment and stuff like that. So my biggest recommendation is follow the right people. If you're following somebody on Instagram that their fitness journey just feels intimidating to you and you just feel like, okay, there's no way I can achieve this, then you're not following the right person. And you know why I know that? Because there is somebody like you who is crushing it. And so for every time you say I can't, for every time you say, I'm too busy, there is somebody in your exact shoes. Okay, maybe not exact, close enough. But there's somebody with a similar what's it called, that is crushing it. And so you need to invest time in finding them. Sometimes if you have to pay a little amount for them, for that knowledge, please do. Why? Because the knowledge gain is yours forever. On this call, I'm hoping that you've learned one or two things. It's yours forever. Nobody can take that away from you. Right? So mindset is super important. So I like to recommend that, again, mindset is also a bit, could also be a bit personal or sensitive. And maybe what we could do on the call is that if there's any mindset that anybody is open to sharing around fitness, please drop it in the chat, and maybe we can just look at what are some of the things that you could, when the mindset comes up, what are some of the things that you can do, or questions you can ask yourself so that the mindset doesn't then take over the entire fitness journey. So does anybody have any particular mindset that I don't have time, it's too expensive to eat healthy, I never see any progress, the weight, the measuring, the bathroom scale is a nightmare? Does anybody have any one of those mindsets? By the way, I've thrown my bathroom scale out a couple of times until I had to take a deep breath and say, why does my bathroom scale annoy me so much? It's because it's not giving me the numbers that I wanted it to give me. But I'm saying, what is wrong with the numbers that it's giving me? Right? Again, my mindset. What is my mindset about the numbers? And I think I finally come to a cordial relationship with the scale, that even if it doesn't give me the numbers, it is giving me a number. And what does that number mean? And that is more important to me than some goal number or anything. Does anybody have any mindset that they would like to share? Again, I may not be able to answer all the questions, but I'll see if I can try. I see Milena typing something, so let's see. Okay, I feel like I don't have time to work out. I wake up at 5:30, but my morning is getting busy with my daughter. All right. Thank you for sharing, Milena. So is there a particular time of your day that you can use for your workout? Or interestingly, another interesting perspective is, why do we think that the only habit or activity for fitness is workout? If you don't have time for workout, do you have time for something else?
I can talk.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm using sometimes the walking to dropping her to school. So I count that. Okay, I'm walking today. I walk 20 minutes, something like that. But it's still this is for me is not enough. But I think I realize now that my mindset is not is the problem, because I also think I need to do things in the morning, and in my morning is so busy. So I can do exercise maybe at lunchtime or after work or in the night, but I just avoid put these things. It's just for me. It's, I'm locked. I think I need to do this in the morning, otherwise it's not gonna happen.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. Yamisi, I don't know if you want to help with the walking, because I know that this is how powerful. The reason why I'm calling her is because of how powerful walking is, and how we often underrate the importance of walking. Or maybe let me not put you on the spot. So sometimes for me the biggest.
That's fine.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So when it comes to, for me, I've been on this journey for quite some time as well. But I realized that, when I'm not intentional about walking, and by walking, I mean like taking steps. So I have a tracker on my hand. I track my steps. And so when I started, it was all, okay, I'll make 10,000 steps, and then that was fine. But I realized that, so in recent times, we got a second car. And before, I used to walk my children to school, just to kind of get in the steps. But I stopped doing that. I started driving him to school. I realized all of a sudden my clothes just started getting tighter. Nothing changed. I was still going to the gym. I was still doing what I was doing. But I now realized that I wasn't even getting in the steps, and I wasn't even tracking it. Like, because I just assumed that, oh, it didn't matter. And I'm like, oh, it is so critical. So I just started parking the car back at home. So now we walk to school. But now he's even old enough, he can walk to by himself. So I'm just saying it does matter, because there's a role for exercise and there's a role for movement. So for those of us that work, like we have like desk jobs, and we go to the gym, maybe like a particular time of the day, we still have to remember that we still have to move. After going to the gym, maybe in the morning, the whole day, you can't just sit at the desk and not move. So you need to kind of be intentional about also getting those movements in, or steps, depending on the kind of movement. You could have a stationary bike somewhere in your house. You could have a desk. Some people have desk treadmill. You could have a desk step counter, something. Or you could set an alarm for you, but just make sure you're moving. For me, it is steps. That's how I make sure I get my movement in. So sometimes I'll just take a 5-minute break and just like walk on the spot. There are quick, like 10 minutes YouTube videos that can help you to get all those steps in. So, yeah.
Thank you, MC, for sharing. So, Milena, what I wanted to take out of that is that walking is so powerful, right? But then because of the narrative that we have, that if I'm not dripping with sweat, I haven't gotten my workouts in. Sometimes we miss that opportunity to actually. Sometimes some people, the only thing they do for their form of exercise is walking. My recommendation would be to explore. Since you walk your kid to school, you could make the return journey a brisk walk where you are swinging your hand and you walk back home, and that's it. That is enough. And I'm saying that with all. I wish let me turn on my camera. I'm saying that with all straight face and all support all the way from Nigeria, that it is enough, right? As long as you're consistent about it, and then you look at the other areas of your routine that you can also improve, like food and sleep. Sleep is also something that we don't prioritize, but if we don't have enough sleep, it also can make us gain weight. There is a science behind it, right? So something for you to think about. Hope that helps. Okay, she's typing something. So that's it. So mindset, it's a lot of like I said, it's not a one and done thing. Is that anytime you are stuck trying to achieve a certain goal and you're not able to achieve it, beyond even the goal itself, you also need to ask yourself, are you too fixated about doing it a certain way? And is there another way that you can try that maybe is not the glamorous, sexy, Instagram worthy one, but hey, it's your journey, it works, and then you can explore that as well. And this is me speaking, even to be a bit vulnerable. I started lifting weights, I think about 5-7 years ago. And then I saw all the muscles, everything was just, on point. And I was happy, right? And then all of a sudden, life happened. My knees were complaining. I wasn't getting enough rest. And so even the exercises became a chore. And I started to ask myself, but if I stop doing this exercise, I'm going to lose my gains. And I started asking myself, here's who? What evidence do you have that you're going to lose your gain, right? And so I had to scale down my workouts to 3 times a week. And some week, like this week now is my rest week. I'm not working out this week. I'm not doing anything this week. And I had to train my mind to say, no, you're not going to pile on the weight, because exercise is not the only thing that you are, it's not the only habit that you look at. You already look at food as well, and you already look at sleep. All those things work together to give you a wholesome view of yourself. So sometimes when one particular pillar is not working well, we don't need to freak out. The other ones will balance for a while. So I just thought it was important to share that. All right. Thank you. I'll incorporate. Fantastic. Thank you. I'm happy that that was helpful. All right. So let's just wrap up. So the last 2 slides is Q&A and next steps. I think what I was hoping to do at the end, I've done it in the beginning or throughout this call. So we all have a fitness goal that we are working on. For the things that are not working well, I think we've kind of revealed that somehow in the course of taking the exercise around setting goals, choosing habits, and even working on our mindset. But this is a good time for anybody that has questions. I think we have like 2 minutes or 3 minutes to take questions. So if you have any question, maybe something I said, something I did not say, something you want to clarify, please let me know. Please raise your hand and I will yield the floor to you. Any questions? Any contribution? Or did you learn something different from before you started this call? That would also be good to share. Radio silence. Okay. We still have some time, so if something comes up to you, please feel free to raise your hand. Okay, Nikki is typing something, so let me chill. I learned to consider my mindset, and this is something I'll reflect on. Awesome, Nikki. Thank you for sharing. Becky is typing something. Really useful, clear way of looking at it and keeping yourself accountable. Thank you. I'm happy that you found it useful. All right, cool. So again, what should be your next step after this call? My recommendation is to follow me. If there's anything that I try to do personally as a 9-to-5er, is that I look for ways to make fitness practical, right? I'm always about, yes, I understand that there is a very glamorous way of doing things, but there's also has to be a more realistic way of doing things. So please follow me on IG if you want, and where I share tips on how to achieve practical and sustainable fitness. And if you want to also sign up for my newsletter, please go ahead and do that using the link here. And what I do is I just look for a particular, a particular concept. Or for example, last week I wrote about what do you do when you attend a conference and you're trying to be healthy, right? And I talked about how the food is free. Lunch buffet is buffeting, right? It makes sense. I'm happy. I'm like, oh, free food. How do you deal with that urge not to eat everything just because it's free? So I wrote about that last week. So that's kind of like how my newsletters are. They're usually practical things, like how do you deal with when you were working on a crazy job that does not allow you to stand up? What are some of those interesting things that you can do to still achieve your fitness goals? I talked about how to get 10K steps in your house without leaving the house, things like that. That's kind of like what I write about. So yeah, you should check that out. And the last thing that I want to just leave you guys with is, again, I'm happy that you found this session useful. Some people have chimed in to talk about how useful they found it, but most importantly, please, I want to leave you with this thing, right? Nothing, and I say that, nothing makes sense if you're not healthy. Not the work, not the family, really, because you need to be healthy to be able to be there for your family. So if there's anything that I want to charge us with today, is to take our health seriously. And I hope that you've learned that it doesn't have to be anything really dramatic. Small things consistently will all get there. So stay fit, stay well, and best of luck in your journey. And I'm going to hand over back to Kevin. And we are right on the dot of time.